Father, come to you now, Lord. I ask you, Lord, lead and guide us tonight. Give us the wisdom and knowledge we need to make the decisions for the people of Hendry County, Lord. Father, be with the firemen, Lord, and the firewomen that are out today, Father God. They were out all night last night, Father, protecting properties. I thank you, Lord, for the properties that were not lost, and I thank you for their diligence, Lord, and what they do daily. Father, keep them safe, Lord, and keep them safe as they do everything they do. Father God, be with our Sheriff's Department, our EMS. Father, keep them safe daily as well, Lord. Father, cover their hearts and their minds for the things they see, Lord. Help them, Father, to do their jobs, Lord. And Father, just to honor you. And Father, I pray tonight, Lord, for every man and woman and every branch of military, past, present, and future, Father, afford us the rights to stand here tonight. Father, I thank you, Lord, for what they've done for this country and for us, Father. And I pray, Lord, that you'd have your perfect will and way everything said and done here tonight would bring you glory, Father. So in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held Tuesday, May 14th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Clewiston, Florida. In attendance are Chairperson Emma Byrd, Vice Chair Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Emery Howard, Commissioner Raymond Iglesias, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Attorney Matt Rollerson, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, and Deputy Clerk Sharon Congleton.
Thank you. Welcome to Hendry County Board of County Commissioner meeting. If you have any electronic device, we ask you to turn them off, or if you would mute them for us, please. There's nothing up for bid. We're going with the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve consent as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
item number 6 of the consent, it spoke of the T-hangers at LaBelle. I think that's awesome. I'm glad we're moving forward with that. And I understand that Airglades is still under contract and could be growing and moving in a ton of different directions. When's the last time, are you on the Airport Advisory Board?
I'm not, but I do attend all the
Do you
meetings.
attend the meetings? Have they discussed, Commissioner Iglesias, doing T-hangers, and what is that discussion sound like?
No, we're definitely in discussion. We'll pass it on to Shane because it's something that the airport, Airglades needs to operate with a revenue stream coming in, because we don't know if this Airglades is ever going to
No,
transfer.
that's exactly, I just think that we should be gas pedal fully hammered on this moving forward, because it's a revenue stream. Cash cow.
In regards to the T-hangers, we have discussed it, but DOT said they can provide funding for T-hangers.
DOT said they can provide funding.
They can provide funding.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, DOT will give us a grant, even if it has to be reimbursable. We will have those rented out before they're even completed. We can start collecting revenue. We can pay it off. We may not even have to pay a grant off, and this could be another source of income out of Airglades.
In general, yes. We haven't got
Why
that,
are we not wanting to move forward with that?
well, we haven't got a grant agreement from them.
I understand that, but but we haven't even submitted a grant, have we?
No, we put it in the JSEP, we put a request for projects in there, but DOT is saying they could, I think the ones at LaBelle, if I remember right, Tommy, wasn't it over like $3 million for the one T-hanger unit? And it basically bankrupt LaBelle Airport. And we were gonna bond the ones at LaBelle to build another one, basically use the rent revenue. And DOT's like, well, I can probably have you a grant agreement in a couple years. And we think that's the best approach for Airglades. So every year in the JSEP, we put money in, that's a DOT funded project. So,
What does the Airglades kitty have sitting in it right now?
money-wise, I don't know. It'll have a lot more coming after the grants.
Yeah.
I mean, after the bids come in
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Kane, but
I just, Madam Chair, I just think it's something that we ought to look at, and I think it should be an expedited thing. I mean, had we pulled the trigger on this 3 years ago with the cost of a metal building versus what it is to now, you know, we could say that on anything.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's something y'all ought to put on the agenda. Let the Airglades Airport Advisory Board shoot it down or allow it to
oh,
come
they
to
talk
us
about
and
been
move
pushing
forward.
oh, they
every
talk about it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's a hot topic.
Watch this. Tommy, how many are on the waiting list?
I think it's 42. Yeah.
How many do we have right now, as of now? How many hangers do we have as of now? How much space do we have? How many? I mean, how many? If we added more, how much space do we have?
And we've already addressed the issues with the people, renting a T-hanger to store, so
Yeah.
we're not selling fuel and that sort of thing, It's kind of like the rodeo grounds. If we're gonna have a rodeo grounds, let's use it for rodeo, not quinceañeras.
Thank you, Madam Chair, that's all.
Thank you. The next thing up is the awards. We're going to acknowledge the National Public Works Week proclamation. This week is National Public Works Week, May 19th to the 24th, the advancement of quality of life for all. The next thing we want to acknowledge is the Emergency Medical Service Week proclamation for May 24th, May 19th to the 25th.
Madam Chair, I
We want
make
to acknowledge
a motion to approve both of those proclamations.
Second.
We have the motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Iglesias. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands. This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishes to speak, we ask you to make sure you fill out a card, and we'd love to give you that opportunity. Next thing up is staff reports, but we have a walk-on, Mr. Shane. Almost forgot you just that fast.
Thank you. For the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Public Works Director. The item I have before you is a public transportation grant agreement for land acquisition near LaBelle Airport to
Madam
accommodate.
Chair, I make a motion to approve the walk-on of the LaBelle Airport budget with regards to the $28,000 on purchasing the land adjacent to the LaBelle Airport project.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wells. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion stands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shane.
So since-
Chair.
Yes.
I have something I need to discuss with the board. We're in the process of trying to resolve a lawsuit, and it's going to require a temporary closed session. I'd like to do probably before the next meeting. I just want to let the board know that, by statute 286, I'm required to let the board know that, and then it'll be noticed appropriately. So during the next meeting, we may have a recess where we close the meeting, have a closed door session. It'll be recorded, and then the board's authority with regard to settlement, and then upon settlement, it'll become a public record.
We anticipate that'll be on the 29th? The
28th.
The next board meeting.
The next
sorry,
board-
the 28th?
Yeah, the next
So,
board.
we'll start our meeting.
Yes, we'll open the public meeting, announce it, and then the meeting will be closed and announced. I think it probably won't take more than 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
And then it'll be recorded, and the meeting will be with you and I and Jennifer and the court reporter. We have to get a court reporter to transcribe it, and we'll discuss it, get authority, and then we'll close that and then reopen
Reopen
the
the
public
meeting.
hearing.
10-4, thank you.
But we don't have to get here any earlier. We just do it during our regular session. Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything, Ms. Davis?
Yes, Mr. Pastula has a presentation that he is going to present. He's got a PowerPoint to go over a summary of the emergency management operations.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commission. Bob Pastula for the record, Director of Emergency Management. So I've come to you tonight to give you a little presentation since hurricane season's coming on what we're doing over in emergency management and where we stand today. So the first thing I want to kind of give you an overview of what we do, and of course we do the emergency management services for the county. We also do all of the E911 services, including the county dispatch centers, the Clewiston Police Department, and sometimes we include the tribe with that too. That's still kind of out there, but we have 3 PSAPs still here in the county. We also do the addressing for the 911 system, and I have Roberta here with me. Roberta does the addressing, and she does the purchasing for the county, and she still does a little bit of human resources too, so it keeps her pretty busy as well. We've also taken over all the radio and antennas for the county and the public safety communications, generators and the maintenance, and we just started the derelict vessel program, so that's next on the agenda. So we'll be working on removal of the vessels that are in the Caloosahatchee River. And this is a look at what we're doing for training at the EOC. So we've held 40 separate training courses for local public safety and the communities, a total of 83 days or 16 and a half weeks for the fiscal year 23-24. And this is just kind of a look at what we're giving. We're doing mental health first aid. That's in cooperation with the Florida Department of Health. Human trafficking we did for everyone in the county with the Sheriff's Office. The special needs nursing skills was also with the FDOH. The ICS 300, that's a program that we offer for emergency management. And Adrian plays a big part with the training over there. He's doing CPR, stop the bleed for the police department and the sheriff's office and anybody else we can get in there. And everything is really open to the community as well. So we've really opened up our doors to allow the community in and all the agencies in the county to do training and get to use our facility a lot more than we used to. So this is just kind of a look at our meeting and exercise schedule. We just got done with the Regional Domestic Security Task Force tabletop exercise, and we had 102 participants from various public safety agencies, public non-governmental agencies throughout the region, which is Region 9 now with the RDSTF. We host annually, or biannually now, the Florida Gulf Coast nursing students. They come to learn about emergency management from us. Adrian gives them a stop the bleed, and Brenda from the Department of Health gives them some instruction on some of the stuff that the Department of Health does as well. We host the Hendry County Sheriff's Office Explorers training every week. Every Monday night they're there, so they're getting the use out of the building. And we also host the Hanley Foundation. We talked about Hanley last week about their Narcan and all that stuff, and they're very active inside of our community as well. We've had a demonstration for a new CAD system for a 911 system. Central Square was the organization that came in. We've had the Property and Evidence Association regional meeting, the CGIS regional meeting, which is with Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Healthcare Coalition, and then we hold all the broadband initiative meetings at the EOC as well. So this is kind of I want to kind of show you, since I took over at the EOC, we've really opened our doors to events at the EOC. So you can see it in 2019, 2020, 2021, we had 5, 1, 4, and then we actually had 0 in 2022. So in 2023, we had 43 separate EOC events, and this year alone, we've had 51 so far. So we're really getting it out there and making use of the facility. Because for a long time, it just kind of sat idle there, and we didn't have anything going on. So I thought it was the best use of our facility. And the more we use it, the more people call and say, "Can we use your facility?" So we're always open to that. We have 3 separate training rooms that we allow them to use. This is a look at our E911 addressing. So you can see how it's kind of remaining pretty consistent. We've issued 136 new addresses just this fiscal year through the end of April so far. And you can see in 2021, we had 254, 2022, 173 new addresses, 2023, we had 155 new addresses, and in 2024, so far, we've had 136. And it's picking up and keeps Roberta pretty busy. There isn't a day go by we don't get some kind of call about addressing in Hendry County. I didn't put 2020 in there because in 2020, we actually hired Akameka to help us straighten out our GIS maps and our addressing for the county. And we actually had 600 corrections and additions to the county maps in 2020. So I took that out just because it was skewed to statistics. But we are keeping pretty steady. I found that so far this year, we've really been working hard about getting these new communities in and getting them addressed. And we actually took over addressing for LaBelle too, so that's really caused us a little bit more work as far as the addressing goes. I think they came in and talked about the new school zone cameras. I think we had that at one meeting. But in order to do that, we had to address the power poles. So they went around and gave me GIS coordinates. I had to go find the poles, and then we addressed them so they could hook up the speed zone cameras. So we're doing that in cooperation with Hendry County Sheriff's Office and with the Clewiston PD. Next is the public safety mapping, and this has been, we haven't had anybody really on our team that was doing the GIS until Don just recently hired Blaine. I know y'all are familiar with Blaine, but Blaine's going to be helping us out with this. And it's a really welcome asset because you can see that we have all those colors on there are dots of address dots. And they just keep coming and coming and coming. But we also have these other overlays. So we have street center line overlays. The address points are all these dots that you see. We have MSA communities. That's the master street addressing guide. We have the county boundaries, which is just a county boundary. But we have EMS boundaries. We have fire boundaries. We have the PSIP boundaries. We have the public safety towers. All of our radio towers are going to be located on the maps. All the towers that we have now are located on the maps. We have EMS landing zones, which are also located on the maps. And one thing I forgot is we have the Sheriff's Office patrol zones that are also on our GIS maps.
You want to explain what a point overlay is versus the way it used to be with the address real quick for respond purposes, or would you like me to, or?
The point overlay system?
Yes. So before, and I'll just use me as an example because I live in the middle of nowhere, if I called 911 and gave my address, it would literally, because I live in Felden, I live on a larger piece of property on some acreage, but it would literally have shown probably, a half a mile away with the grove behind us. It's just when you live out in most of Hendry County is rural, and so it's a problem. So in the middle of the night, when they call 911 and the ambulance folks or law enforcement is trying to find a place that they've never been before, and a lot of these places are like that, they can't find you. And we had several incidences where not even in rural areas, but even in the Fort Denote area and places like that, where ambulances are going, this is years ago, back and forth on the road, and they can't figure out where they need to be, because maybe the mailbox isn't out there with the number right there. So the ACAMECA that Bob just referred to, and it's all paid for by grant money that we get from the state, they did an overlay of the whole county. And so every residential, I say residential, but every
parcel has an address
with a
point.
structure, they put a point on the map on the home. So now when you pull that up and you pull up my house on a CAD, if you will, in the dispatch, it will point to my house and everybody else's house. And so that's a big deal, I think. And I'm not gonna say we were the first one, but we were one of the very first counties in the state that started that initiative, which I thought was a very big deal.
Yeah, and that was the 2020 point that I was talking about, is we really had to revamp what we were doing in 2020. So, and that's all those dots are. Those are the address points that administrators are talking about.
Madam Chair, just to interrupt, Bob, I mean, what y'all done though from an EOC MS standpoint and making sure everybody's on the same page has been nothing short of monumental. Guys, it wasn't that long ago, Hookers Point Road was State Road 833, and having an ambulance come out there in a population area that's that dense, they still were kind of running around going, hey, does what's his name stay here, And so that's impressive that y'all have been able to get that done and dial it in the way you have.
Thank you, sir. And we still have some areas that we're working on. I mean, it's a continuous thing, and Roberta works almost daily on those address points. But you will get some complaints, and we get these complaints all the time too, because it doesn't match up with what Google gets. So people will come and say,
You have people complain.
Yeah, all the time. And Google, we get those calls all the time. We field them all the time. We keep telling them, we are not Google. The maps we create are for public safety, and they're dumped into our current CAD system, the Smart Cop system, and that's how EMS, fire, police, law enforcement in general can find where they're going. So those are our maps. We have no control, just so everybody knows, that over Google, and that's what a lot of people complain about. And we get this all the time, and we get in arguments on the phone with them. No, we can't do anything about that. That's something Google has to do, and they really don't understand that. But it takes a little bit of time, because sometimes I go out there and I kind of show them the differences and why we do what we do. And Google is eventually going to come around, because they're going to have to, the way we're growing, they're going to have to come and remap the county eventually someday anyways, because they're just not providing the maps that we need to grow. But that's all a Google call. Any other questions about the mapping system? But I really look forward to having Blaine. I didn't intend to throw him under the bus, but he's a godsend. We really need the help from the GIS. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit more about finalizing our E911 system. So we're finishing up the upgrades to our E911 system, and it should be done. I keep saying it should be done. I hope it will be done by the end of June. So we've upgraded the E911 system, and what you're seeing here is a screenshot of Rapid SOS. This is available to all public safety agencies in the county. So when a call comes in, like you'll see on this, let me point it out to you here. Whoops. If you see this, where my screen, you can't tell, can you? All right, that little green thing near the square to the right, that's the address point. And when it pops up, it gives you on the screen a map of where they're calling from. It gives you latitude and longitude. It gives you the what three words. If you've heard of that before, it's a way of finding things without the GIS locators. So it's another way of finding things. And then it also gives you the phone number, and it gives you the address that's associated. So if the call taker clicks on that from her dispatch center, it will actually take her. And these are the new maps that we're getting of all the critical facilities in the county. This here is a look at, this is a simplified look at the administration building for Florida Southwestern State University. But this will show up on the MDCs that are in the officer's car. So if we had an active shooter or something going on, or a call coming from the school, it will actually light up on this map where the caller is at. And from that point, we're trying to tie it together with the camera systems that are inside the schools now. So the dispatcher should be able to click on that, and they can bring up a live feed from the cameras inside the school at what's going on in that particular area. So we have some meetings coming up on that next week, I believe. But these maps are available right now for the officers to use in their patrol cars.
But with those cameras, would you have access to those now, or once you get it integrated in there, or only in the event that there's an active shooter that you'll have a capability of patching through to the camera system then?
It should be seamless, and we should be able to activate them at any time. They should be able to do that from their dispatch center. Right now, it's through this Rapid SOS, and we'll talk a little bit more about the grants, but I did get a grant for Rapid SOS Premium, which means that it's going to give us those features that I was just discussing about the cameras and stuff like that. And anybody should be able to pull them up that's related to the county. So if code enforcement needed to go there, if Shane needed to do something at the schools, he could pull those up too. But this will actually show up on the dispatcher's terminal like it shows right here. And we have all the schools mapped in the county. We have the courthouse mapped, and we have the jail mapped. And that was all paid for by the E911 board with a grant.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Bob, is that true for all three disciplines, fire, police, and EMS? They can all have that same downloaded capacity?
They can. We're working on the fire departments now because they don't have access to the CAD system right now. So I'm looking into an app that goes on their phones, and they go on their tablets that we put in the trucks, and they'll have access to it as well.
So which buildings do you have with the AutoCAD?
All the schools. All the schools.
All public schools?
Uh-huh. And we have the jail, and we have the courthouse, and we also have West Glades Elementary because it's so close to us, and we run so many calls there. We figured we'd be the first ones to respond to an active shooter there as well.
What about the city? City of Clewiston and City of LaBelle? I know we're trying to work together with the 9/11.
We don't have their buildings on the map. No, this was only for the critical infrastructure as far as the schools go. The places we were most likely to see an active assailant is what really we were planning on.
Thank you.
There's no reason why we can't grow this in the future, and that's my intention. Along with our 911 or our VHF communications, I'd like to grow all this so we can get further and further, get more and more of our infrastructure on these plans.
commercial operations and things like that.
We're approaching the businesses. We're asking them to actually participate, and in that participation, we're asking them to put antennas inside their buildings, because we have with the 800 megahertz system, we have a difficulty transmitting outside of or while we're inside the facility, getting out. So we're trying to get them to put antennas inside the facilities, so we don't have that issue. Like if we go into Walmart or something, the police, when they get inside, they have a hard time communicating with the dispatch center. So we're going to try to get them to put the antennas in, and then we'll get them to map their buildings as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then I want to touch just a little bit on to text to 911. This is not available quite yet, but this is kind of what it's going to look like. So hopefully by the end of June, and anybody in the county should be able to text to 911. And you kind of see that's a cell phone on the left-hand side. It looks just like regular text message. On the right-hand side, that's what the dispatcher is going to see. It looks exactly like a text on a phone, except it comes up on their dispatch screen. And this is also going to be in the Rapid SOS Premium program. And this is something that we have every intention of pushing out and letting the community know, hey, this is what we're doing. So I went ahead and I created some brochures that we can send out, one for the Clewiston PD, one for the Board of Commissioners, and one for the Sheriff's Office. Kind of just saying the same thing. This is what we're doing. It's available to use now. You can use it anytime you want. We feel this is really going to add to a benefit to the community and the safety of the community. And again, that should be available end of June. But I will caution, the vendor's a little slow, so I'm not really sure that it's going to be. I don't want to make any promises that end of June is a cold, hard, fast date. But we're shooting for the end of June. We should be testing Thursday and Friday of this week to see if the new system is up and running. And once we get the results back, we should be able to go live with the system.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Bob, you said they're going to be pamphlets?
These were just kind of brochures that we were going to put out for everybody. The intention was, a couple months ago, I sent out some broadband information. We gave them to the utility departments, and they sent it out in their bills and stuff like that.
Exactly what I was going to say. If
Yeah.
we were the city of Clewiston, the city of LaBelle, and Port LaBelle, that's what DOT gave me a bunch of pamphlets for that amazing crosswalk in LaBelle. So we've been passing those out.
Yeah, that was my intention too. We did that with the City of Clewiston Utilities with the broadband program, because we were getting a hard time getting participation. So we did that with them, and that's my intention, is to do that with all the utilities.
Pretty much cover both your cities without no problem, and the majority of Port LaBelle as well. So that'd be perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I want to look a little bit at our grants. These are our grant awards. I'm sorry. So just for this year, you can see on the left-hand side, it says the 911 grant awards. That's $283,000 just so far this year. And we haven't made it to the second half of the grant funding season. But on the right-hand side, since I've been taking over the 911 program, we brought in $1.8 million in 911 grants, to include cybersecurity for the IT department. And I just received a couple for equipment we needed for the 911 centers. They include the recorders for the incoming lines, and some licensing for that too as well. So the 911 program has really bolstered our ability to pay for, and they really give us because we're a rural county, we actually have an extra season of grants, and they've really been willing to give us grants to keep our program up and running and to improve it. So they've been really easy about it.
Bob, are those all state grants, or are you able to get any federal grants?
Well, they're all federal grants
Okay.
that come through the state.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so these are all federal grants. We have to follow the federal rules, but they're awarded to us by the.
And I would say most of them are not matching. Is that a correct statement?
None of them are matching that I
None of them,
can think
maybe.
of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
yeah. These are all 100% grants.
right.
You're squinting too, Carson?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a little hard to see.
So, maybe a couple.
That's why I figured I'd read them out to you. All right, and then some of the other stuff that we've done around the Emergency Operations Center. We upgraded all the audio-visual equipment for the entire Emergency Operations Center. And we saved, by doing that, we actually saved a lot of money. We're not relying on Dish Network anymore. That was crazy what we were paying Dish Network. And now we're using some of the infrastructure that we have in place, like the Comcast and Crown Castle. And everything is IP-based now. We've added some additional solar-based security lighting around the ELC property, just to light up the area a little bit more, especially since we're having so many classes and so many people coming there at night. I keep hitting this thing. I'm sorry. I guess that's what you get for talking with your hands. But I wanted to make it, people said, it's a little dark around here. We're a little scared to walk outside. So we put in this extra lighting just to kind of brighten things up around there. And it will come in handy during hurricane season if we ever have to activate. We've been working really closely with Streamline to complete the broadband project. Ryan and I had a little bit of conversation today. That's coming along slowly but surely. We've run into a few things, but Ryan straightened out a lot of it today. So hopefully that broadband project will be up and running. I was hoping by the beginning of July, but I think it's going to probably take a little longer. I'm working with the Fish and Wildlife Commission and Clewiston Fire on the derelict boats, and I know there's nobody here from Clewiston Fire, but they've actually let me use their boat. So I take their boat out on the Caloosahatchee River. We map out all the derelict boats on GPS, and then we file that information with the Fish and Wildlife Commission, and they're the ones that actually take action on the removing the boats.
Madam Chair. Mr. Patchell, on the derelict vessel removal, have they let those already? Is that FWC going to let that, or are we going to handle that contract?
It's better for us to let them do it. I was gonna, I got with the sheriff and I thought maybe we could do that better, but there's a lot of nuances that go with notifying the owner and getting, so Fish and Wildlife, they have a division that just does that. So I just funneled that information to them. So I've been mapping it out in the river. I give them the coordinates, we tag it, and then they come out and they tag it, and they contact the owner, and they're the ones that end up removing it.
So do you have that list in your possession?
No, I'm still working on that. Yeah, we just really started working on that last couple months, I believe. So we identified a lot of the boats, but I haven't mapped them all out yet. So I can get that to you though, if you'd like to see it.
I would love to see that for us. I mean, this is an arena that I work in throughout the state, so we help a handful of municipalities. It's unfortunate the reimbursement rate on it. You actually lose money, but I just get tired of sometimes driving by a contract and seeing something floating in the way, so we just snatch it up whenever we're demobilizing or coming into a project sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't do much for the desirability to use our waterways, so it works in our best interest to remove them. But I just, looking into it and seeing which would be better, it just seems like Fish and Wildlife have a better handle on it than we do.
I think it's 90 days after it's posted, and as long as it doesn't have a manner of propulsion. So if it's a sailboat and it doesn't have a mast, or if it's a power vessel and the engine has been submerged or doesn't have the ability to go out and fire it off, they have X number of days to contact owner. If there is no owner, they can actually speed that up. But Commissioner Wills, on that, with regards to, I don't know what the city of LaBelle actually has on their jurisdiction there, but if y'all have something that's in the way, I know a guy, I guess is what I'm saying. So we can help y'all to get that out of there, because that's a heck of an eyesore sometimes,
We got quite a few, so I'll talk to that guy.
And then remember, I don't know if you remember, Bob, you weren't with us. Raymond, Commissioner Iglesias, you remember when the big vessel across from the
one that we
mysteriously
called
caught on
Army
fire?
Corps of Engineer and FWC for years, and they wouldn't do anything, and it
Yeah.
mysteriously
Suddenly-
caught on fire?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
think I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
I just want to avoid that. It can create a bigger problem, so.
Yeah, we kind of had that problem with that one that just caught fire recently over there. We fought that one for almost 2 straight days. Yeah. But I think this will work best. If I find it this doesn't work best, I'll come back and let everyone know if I think the sheriff's office would be better off handling it. And I told the sheriff, I said, since I'm a reserve with them, I could handle it in my capacity as an emergency manager as well. It's just a matter of,
FWC will handle that. We should let 'em.
FWC is bringing in a command vessel to leave at the ramp. So that, I don't know if they've told you that or not, but it should be in there anytime now.
oh, that'd be good.
And it's gonna be stationed there, so you can, if you're working together with them now, that'll be a perfect opportunity for have something in the water on that side.
That's good to know. I'm actually, the week after next, taking the boat out again to finish mapping out all the vessels and getting that list over to FWC. So shouldn't be too long. We should see some movement.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hall.
Yes, Bob, because we're involved now, is that gonna give us the ability to keep this from dropping off the radar, so to speak? Because that's kind of what's happened, I think, in the past, is boats are reported and it just goes nowhere. But we'll be able to stay with it from start to finish, correct?
Yeah, I've been in contact with them pretty often and just trying to figure out what we need to do. And I keep telling them that this is what we have so far and that they're going to come out and take a look at it. But they work on their own schedule as well. I can't force them to do any faster, but I can stay on top of it and make sure it gets done. And I think that's the desire of the county administrator. She wants me to keep on them and get them removed from the waterways. Anything else on the boats? All right, and this is just some of the other things. You know, you guys already know that Adrian is doing the testing and the running of the generators. He does a really good job of that. He's very conscientious. He puts that on our schedule, and he puts it on the email schedule, so I know that when he's going out and doing things and stuff. So he goes out and does that. He also, in cooperation with the city of Clewiston, he does the city police department's generator for them too. They need that for accreditation. So I said, we can help you out there. So he does their generator along with our generators. You know, we have purchased those 6 new portable generators for hurricane season. They've already shipped me the cables, so we have the cables. I don't have the generators yet, but I have the cables. So the cables are over at the office. I'm waiting on the generators to show up. They're trying to work as a deal where we can, they're going to actually ship the generators to Orlando, and then they said that they would bring them down for no charge. So hopefully we'll get that free of charge. He said since we're making such a big purchase that they would try to do that for us. Some of you may remember being at the EOC, and we had like 4 green posts out front. I finally got tired of seeing that, so I put a sign up there. We made a sign, Adrian and I put together a sign, and Roberta drove the forklift and helped us put it up there. So if you get a chance, I thought it was kind of a neat thing. I was at the gas pumps the other day. One of the guys that cuts our lawn from Road and Bridge said, "Hey, I really like your sign. It really looks good." And I think it does too. So it dresses up the area a little bit. We also have a new hurricane-resistant door we put on the Sally Port. We had a family of owls that left their messes everywhere. No longer, so we've cleaned that out. Adrian and I were out there spraying it down with disinfectant. We've cleaned that all out, and now we got an extra storage area at the OC. So that really looks good.
That's a bold statement, hurricane-resistant doors. That we're just messing with God.
That's why I said resistant. It's not.
That's Fort Myers Beach about that.
That's that back door that we would all go out of during a hurricane, and it would create that suction throughout the whole building. So now it'll be closed off, and we can go back and get supplies and hopefully not try to blow away.
Hopefully, yeah.
During the storm.
Yeah, I'm with you, Commissioner. I don't know if I'm going to go out there when the storm's coming, but Jim said it's going to stop the hurricane, so we'll see. We also participate in Earth Day with Hendry County Schools, and that's been real enjoyable for me and Adrian. We make sure that they're secure, especially after we had that problem over there at the park in LaBelle. So I provide security for them, and Adrian comes with the fire truck from Clewiston and teaches all the kids about firefighting, and they get to ride on the truck and stuff. So it's pretty cool. We participate in training for the American Heritage Girls of Hendry County. I've been there a couple times now. And we also assisted the Sheriff's Office with the Swamp Cabbage Festival. So both Adrian and I worked that, and Roberta gives us a hand too. And some of the boards and committees that we're on, I'm on the FDLE focus group for prevention and awareness of criminal integrity here for the county. Adrian's on the Southwest Florida Healthcare Coalition Executive Board. I'm also the Terrorism Liaison Officer for FDLE for our area. And both of us are members of the RDSTF Region 6. We've also moved, this is a big thing that Roberta's done, and she's done really a great job here for us, moving to the Florida Recovery Obligation Calculation. They call it FROC at FDEM. And what this is she had to put a lot of plans together, and it allows us to get our money back quicker. Should we have a storm or should we have a disaster? So we were talking about this earlier because we just came from the hurricane conference over in West Palm Beach, and I think we're right at around 50%, where we'll get 50% up front, and then they'll give us the rest after we provide the backup material. So essentially what we're doing is getting approved ahead of time to get our money quicker. Should we have an incident. So I think it's really helpful, and she's done a really good job. She's been working hand in hand with Ian on that. And then hurricane shelters. So at the shelters, all the working generators that we have at the shelters are serviced and tested. And the Noble Center is ready for service. That's our special needs shelter. We work with the Department of Health on that. We're still working on the health departments, and I know Jennifer's here, so I feel bad, but we tried. I don't know if y'all are familiar with what happened with the LaBelle Health Departments, but I guess we ended up getting 2 grants for kind of the same thing. And what happened was the first grant took away some of the hardening of the building, but that changed the calculations for the rest of the building. So we had to come up with a way of, and I forget what the percentage is, but we had to have a certain percent money-wise. In other words, they wanted to give us more money. We were gonna do everything cheaper, but they wanted to give us more money. So I had to figure out a way to additionally harden the LaBelle Health Department. So I went out there. We looked at they have this beautiful stained glass window up front, and nobody ever thought about hardening that. So I got an estimate for that, which came out, it was about $5,000 or $6,000, which brought our portion up. And then we thought we would fix the eaves on the building as well. They finally approved it, but they haven't given us any more information, but we're still working on that. But in the meantime, we should be able to pull up our new generators and plug them in if we need to, if we have a power shortage. But that's going to add 2 more generators to our facilities.
And the costs went up, and they're gonna give us the additional money for the additional.
Yeah, they're actually giving us more money.
It is more money, but it's been a struggle from a timing perspective.
Yeah. It's been about, what, 5 years maybe?
No.
It's been a long time, but we skewed their calculations, so we had to come up with more things to fix before they would actually approve, because they wanted to make sure, what they told me is they want to make sure that the building is completely secure from a hurricane. So that's what we're trying to do. We've also ordered the transfer switches for the courthouse, the Pioneer Shelter, Road and Bridge, the jail, and the Fort Deneau Bridge. Those are going to take a little bit longer than the generators will, but at least when they come in, we'll have those installed, and we should be up and running with those.
Wait, the switches are gonna take longer than the generator?
Yeah, they said that the parts for the switches are harder to come by than the parts for the generators.
That doesn't make any sense. There's the switch should be a panel. That sounds like they're trying to sell you some newfangled.
Sold as a unit.
Yeah.
All come in one box.
Yeah, I mean, we could go to any electrical supply house and get the parts and pieces to have a switch for that. When I remember looking at that purchase order, that aggravates me a little bit that they're telling us that. That sounds like a smoke and mirrors move.
Well, they're coming off the sheriff's purchasing contract, so they got to meet the certain requirements of the purchasing agreement there. So that's where they're coming from.
Yeah, but it sounds like they sold us a bell and whistle that we don't necessarily need. This goes back to what we talked about whenever, we said, let's use one of them. One of them should be, I don't know, we use an example of either LaBelle Middle School or LaBelle High, where we said, we want the ability to plug and play so that when we hook up a generator to a trailer, pull it up, it's going to a panel. Our wires will go into the bottom of that panel, then that panel will feed the main switch, there, and, you know, I hope that's all gonna work out well. It'll be interesting to see what they've sold us.
Well, I'm keeping an eye on it, and it's, I mean, they're fairly reasonable. They're not expensive, so it's just a matter of getting them produced.
Noble Center is ready for special needs. What did we have to do for that?
Oh, the generator hadn't been run since it was brand new. When we took it over, it only had 30 hours on it.
Yeah.
So we had to get all the fuel pumped out and had to get it cleaned, and then we had to have the generator serviced, and then we had to test the ATS switch. And then every year since then, in cooperation with the FDOH, we've had exercises there. So we're practicing getting the beds in and the equipment in and trying it out and making sure everything works. And we just recently we don't have a backup shelter anymore, so that's going to be our only special needs shelter, because West Glades, their generator doesn't work. They have no intention of fixing it, and they don't really want us there. So this is going to be our special needs shelter until we get the new high school built in LaBelle.
I haven't heard that. So I'm gonna check on that myself, because they were bragging about how well everyone behaved when they were there.
Wait, you hadn't, what are you gonna
I
check
have
on?
heard nothing about the school not being offered up.
West
as a shelter.
Glades.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
look
know
into
a
that
guy.
as well. Yeah, because that was, I think, I remember I relaxed whenever I found out I think the total population over here was either 11 or 21 in the event we had to evacuate. So I knew we could take care of that population in the event we needed to, but
I will follow up on that.
I'm
You know
elated
who
to
to
know that
ask?
we have a facility ready to go in Hendry
'Cause I
County.
haven't
If
heard
you would
that.
please let the administrator know what you find out on that.
I will let her know
Because
for
we got too many connections in Glades County to make sure that's not gonna work.
He knows somebody
I
there
know
at that
some
school.
personal- yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that from Glades. I got that from the health department. So they've communicated to Glades EM,
Well, I will talk to
to
Beth. and the
DOH,
principal
that they
tomorrow.
weren't going to fix that generator.
I'll talk to both tomorrow.
I think I get the feeling that they just don't want us there. I mean, that's the
That's
feeling
not the
that I get.
personal case.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that publicly.
No, that's what they acted like when I talked with Marissa over at the Glades EM.
Again, I will speak with Beth tomorrow, and I know the principal well.
Yeah. Let me know what Dr. Barfield says.
I will.
We'll do that for free.
I understand.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Besides generators, if a hurricane hits 2 weeks from now, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Team ready?
We're always ready. Yeah, we're ready to go.
All right, sounds good.
We got to exercise tomorrow with the
We all slow down 10 feet.
Army Corps of Engineers for the dike and for the dams, and and we've already had 3 other exercises that we participated in this year. So I think we're ready to go. We got a new program coming in that talks to the state's web EOC. So again, that's provided by the state for us, so we can actually put our stuff in. We have the new EOC built out here at the Clewiston Police Department, and they're going to have web EOC there. They'll send their request through us at the EOC in LaBelle, and then it gets forwarded to the state. So everything's going to kind of work seamlessly.
Madam Chair,
You have a
Bob,
question?
I just want to say congratulations on the hard work that you've done, where you're taking Hendry County. We've come a long way, and your leadership is, I think we've taken some big steps of improvement of safety. of the
Thank you.
person in
By
Hendry
leaps
County.
and bounds,
Yeah,
from what we
absolutely.
had, huh?
I remember the old days, so I know where we were, and congratulations on what you've done.
Thank you, sir.
Feel a little bit more comfortable now going into the hurricane season. We have our signs, we equip, so grateful to the work you all put in with
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions or comments for Bob? Anyone else have any? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Ms. Davis, you complete?
Yes, ma'am.
There's
Madam
no-
Chair, we got a recreation director from LaBelle. I think he's itching to talk to the board.
Well, he's more than welcome if he chooses to do so.
Right under the bus.
Please state your name when you come to the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Stephen Lynn, Director of Parks and Rec. We went to the city commissioner meeting last week, I believe it was, to see about Singleton being taken over by special districts for the rentals, we still take care of the maintenance and everything. That's the last building that we have that we do rentals on. Tommy and special districts already taken over everything else. They approved it, so we're just gonna bring it here, get y'all's approval, if that's what y'all see fit to do.
Madam Chair, for a little backup, Recreation they were struggling in the rental department. I brought up at the board meeting that Special Districts does the rentals for the rodeo grounds now, and they basically do the rentals for all the county properties. So it was not reinventing the wheel for them to assume the rentals of this. So our petition tonight was to ask the board if we could shift the rentals of the Singleton building underneath the envelope of Special Districts. That's where it all come from, and that's how we got there, so.
Is that a motion?
I'd like
It
to
is a
hear from
motion.
special
Second.
district. Before we move on, how you feel about that?
Gotta go up there, Tommy. Tommy, come up here.
You
Yes,
fine,
you do.
Tommy. Tommy,
Oh,
you fine.
Tommy
They just
gets-
try-
We finally gonna
Oh
get
my
Tommy
God.
to talk, look at that.
Is this recorded?
Tommy Vaughn, Special Districts
That
Director.
wasn't me, Tommy, just FYI.
I work at the pleasure of Miss Davis. Whatever Miss Davis needs, I'll take care of.
Wow. I won't talk to her after the meeting, I got a few more things.
Thank you. Who made the motion?
Is this building a city-owned building?
It is a city-owned, under recreation building, yes.
I think it may be subject to an interlocal agreement regarding.
And we
that
got a pretty wide interlocal agreement out there right now, so it should be
For
coming under there.
recreation purposes.
Yes,
I'd just like to review it. I'll just confirm that. I'll review that.
perfect, thank
Can we
you.
continue with the motion, then if it's a problem, we bring it back to the board?
Yes, you may.
Motion by Commissioner Wells, who seconded?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Iglesias, all in favor?
Aye.
With the intent of bringing it back to the board, motion passes. Thank you. Is there anything else? Going district by district?
Shane, All County, you have a pre-construction meeting with them yet for Country Village? Any update on Light Sami? Countywide? No, sir, I haven't heard. Please, I mean, I know that FPL is gonna take a while. I figure that Glades Electric would be more on top of things, but FPL will take a while. A couple meetings ago, we had a discussion about the bridge in LaBelle being on-demand, Commissioner Turner. I think you had mentioned about reaching out to some of your contacts at the Corps by
So
chance.
it would be, it's Coast Guard Command Station, yeah, so.
Any luck on that?
I have 2 calls in, I haven't gotten anything back. But I'm pretty sure that's gonna be an easy one to be able to switch, especially if we're just, we're requesting that just on a small window from like 7 to 9:30. Let it be. What we could do is on the hour, on the half hour, but on that time, I'm just gonna make it, they gotta wait for an hour, basically.
I think you can expand it throughout the day, nothing at lunchtime and then something around school time, people getting off of work, but we definitely need to have that discussion.
Shane has reached out to them and got some feedback from them, if you would like to hear from him on that.
We contacted DOT, they gave us their contact person, because there was a discussion before with a resident in LaBelle. And the way I understood reading the email chain, I did email them for clarification and confirmation, but I asked, what's the process? Is it still outlined in the previous email? They wanted like, logbooks for the bridge openings. They wanted, if there's anything particular with traffic, what the city, the county has done to mitigate measures, a few other items. And then currently right now, 10 to 6, the bridges are shut down unless there's a 3-hour advance notice for bridge openings. City of LaBelle is supposed to be 7 to 9. It's not supposed to open, and from 4 to 6, it's not supposed to open. But any deviation to the time, and my reading of her email sounds like it's a federal process. You have to, some kind of review process.
But hold on, what you just said, if I understand you correctly, is that from 7 to 9, the bridge is not supposed to open.
That's what it said, 7
Okay,
to 9. 4
but
to
that's
6.
not being followed right now.
That is.
That's the issue.
And so
okay.
what happens, I'm telling you, is you have a little, I don't know why I have to put the little connotation in. You have a person that feels that they have a tremendous amount of influence over the discussion, and they're running roughshod. Somebody needs to snatch a knot in their arse.
Well, I'll talk to John Anderson and
Is Florida Drawbridge running that bridge, or is DOT hiring the
my understanding
tenders?
is I don't know. I
Okay.
would assume DOT itself is running it. John Anderson at the local ops is not over it.
Nope, I think that
But
I think that it's a private contractor, and I think Florida Drawbridge is in charge.
Because
of it.
if you go to the circular criteria that I was directed to in the email from a prior conversation, there's 2 snippets, and even the Coast Guard, lady at the Coast Guard, Ms. Searcher, said it's at the default times in line with the locks. But when you go to look, that is true, but right below it is another line that says LaBelle
These are the
Hatchie
default
29
times.
Bridge.
Yes.
And then it says, it reiterates 794 to 6. But the Alva, the Olga, it says Alva, Olga, Fort Denode, LaBelle, and I even think it's the 31, all is on the default stage. But then right below it's another excerpt where it says, except these times. So I've emailed and put that into clarification of what's going on with it. And then I even wanted to know if we wanted to tweak and add 30 minutes or something. Is that like a real long process? Can it be like administrative, or does it still have to go through the full federal review process? So I'm waiting on a response back.
I'm telling you.
But I'll find out. I know there's a discrepancy in the rules that they're going by.
I think that we need to request a meeting with John Anderson to find out who the vendor is for the bridge tender services there, and then have them sit with the county administrator and the city of LaBelle manager and say, you need to apply your own rules. And what the process is that in the event a mariner comes down and it's on demand, the mariner can make that request, but then you go and you read to them what is stated in there. Then it almost becomes, it's a notum, just like what you would have in the air, notice to mariners. And then they have to apply accordingly. And then you put that out on the airwaves and it's done. But these bridge tenders have gotten away with it for so long. And then what'll happen is you have a mariner, even when it is written, the mariner is still gonna make a complaint to the Coast Guard. Now the Coast Guard comes back in, they investigate, they see what it says, and they say, sorry, this is the way it is. But it's almost standard in the industry across the areas. And as you can probably imagine, if you're opening up 11th Avenue and the kids are trying to get to Cardinal Gibbons or fill in the blank, St. Thomas Aquinas, or so on and so forth, they make 2 phone calls, and they don't give a crap if Trump is sitting in the vessel. He's gonna sit right there until those babies and or those humans get to work. It's that simple. And so it should be no different for our little humans that are trying to get to and fro, so.
Any help in that's definitely gonna be appreciated, and and the rules are there, they're just not using them.
Yeah.
It's sort of more like a suggestion.
Yeah.
So the last time I did talk to John, I talked to John and I talked to the gentleman under him, Francisco, and they both told me they didn't have anything to do with the bridge.
It's somebody else.
So it's somebody that's above that, we just need to know who that somebody is. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner,
That's all I got. Thank you.
I have nothing tonight.
Commissioner Wells?
Most of you know we had a lot of fires last night. I was talking to a couple of gentlemen this morning. A lot of those gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, was out till 5 o'clock this morning. They had a long night. Some of them are back at it again today. So I'd kind of like to take a look at this if we can. Not tonight, of course. I'm just asking the board the pleasure. They work on a stipend. We've got a few full-time fighters, and that's it. The rest of them work on a stipend. That stipend is $25 a call. It's been $25 a call as long as I can remember. My question is there something that we, on our side, I know the city's looking at it, but on our side, is there something we can do to help with that? Is there more of a stipend? Is there Matt, you may be able to answer this. Is there a situation where we have an on-call, then if you're out X amount of hours, they're compensated for that? A lot of these volunteers are going out there working for $25, 12 hours.
Yeah.
That doesn't pan out.
That's
Then
not
you do
per
have-
hour. It's for 12 hours.
That's for the 12 hours. And on the other side of that, the gentlemen that are full-time, which I'm not saying anything bad about that, so don't take it this way. I'm trying to see if we can compensate everyone somehow. I know we can't pay them full-time wages, and I'm not asking that. They are volunteers. But my question is this something we can look at? I was told, and I haven't got it firsthand yet, but I was told City of Clueston is looking at theirs, they're reviewing theirs now. And the number that was thrown out was $40 for a call.
I love what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that this needs to be looked at from an entire roster perspective.
Right.
And looking at, I don't know if it's a call schedule or something that's set up, but I think that there needs to be a way to increase the volume to fewer people so that you don't have to have all respondents going to everything. And in the turn, if you look it out over a volume time, I think that they're gonna have to show up to fewer calls and get paid better, and it's still probably gonna be about a break even or a wash at the end of the day.
That is part of the conversation. The
Yeah.
conversation was everyone's not being paged.
Yeah.
And if there needs to be a second page out, that's what they're doing. So that's been taken into consideration too. So, yes, I think I'm asking to look at the full gamut, what we can do, what we can't do. And, in unison with the cities, if we're partnering with them, what can we do to help just that situation out?
But we're just talking about the volunteers because you mentioned that
Full-time firefighters are being paid in LaBelle,
Okay, I'm
and
good.
they get overtime.
Yep.
So a lot of those that get called in are full-time firefighters, so they paid overtime. So you got a gentleman getting paid overtime, you got another gentleman working right next to him pulling the same hose
and risking his life.
for $25.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm good with that.
Ms. Davis?
So in the unincorporated, we started this sometime back. We brought a manual to you and you approved it, where we started some daily stipends.
Right.
And so if any of those folks were on a daily stipend schedule already, some of the folks out there working, they would be getting a day wage. And so we can look at that and see who those folks were versus the ones that were doing the 25, and just as a suggestion, but we'll look at it, we'll meet as a team and come up with a recommendation that if something like this,
Right.
where they're out there so many hours, we come up with some kind of criteria that it could kick in, maybe that stipend that at a higher rate or something like that. But to your point, Commissioner Turner, talking about the schedule and less people,
Sure.
they get paid more, that's what we're doing with the daily stipends. And so we want to be able to grow that. And we actually took that from LaBelle, because that's what LaBelle was doing before they went full-time. And so we're pretty much doing the same thing in the unincorporated.
Absolutely, and that's exactly, Commissioner Turner's right on point. That was part of the conversation. The same thing I said, I don't want 15 people paged out and run down the Winn-Dixie because somebody backed into another person.
Right.
And that has that's just about stopped.
Yes.
So they are paging certain ones out with the on-call. So that, I wanted to ask about that. Shane, I want to thank Road and Bridge for what they went through Fort Deneau. Finally, some of them folks actually believe that I know they're out there. So thank you for cleaning that, taking care of that canal through there. I do got a couple questions. I'm not going to bug you a whole lot about Wheeler tonight. I am going to ask about the Phillips Road. Phillips Road, where they're doing the patching, I was told they're putting hot patch. I don't understand that, to be honest. It's a road out of Millings, so I'm not understanding why we'd put hot patch in it. But the question I have is, before rainy season, can we just kind of tighten that road up a little bit? Okay, I appreciate that. Also, Thursday night is Madam Chair's birthday, and I was not gonna let her get up out of here without recognizing her birthday. So if you get a chance before she leaves, make sure you hug her and let her know she's gonna have a wonderful birthday. And tonight is her 41st wedding anniversary. I'm celebrating you. What you looking at me like that for?
Well, thank you.
No, I love you, Miss Bird. So she and my wife have the same birthday, so they both remind me about their birthday. So I just want to make sure I saw that tonight.
Thank you so much.
The stuff with the city that we've been doing back and forth has been great. I know we've had a few hiccups with things, but some people were complaining, but it's working great. The communication's really working good. We've been working together. Ryan, I can't say enough about the work that you do. It's been incredible. The meetings I've been in with you have been above what I would expect. So I appreciate all your hard work as well. Jimmy stepped up and doing a lot. I hate to say that because he won't get his head in the truck to get home. But I know we're working together with Port LaBelle a lot, so just so you know that.
I'm aware.
And that's really, that's it, Ms. Bird. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner.
Madam Chair, I forgot to ask, Mr. Special, you said that the speeding zones, we're waiting on the power poles with the school zones, correct? Correct. What, when, where, how's that look? Can you give us a Reader's Digest version? Like, are we having to put power poles in and do directional bores, or what?
They're tapping into the power poles that already have the power
Transformers.
transformers up on top.
And are we doing that in-house, or is that their
No, the
contractor?
company's
Okay.
They're doing all that, they're paying for all that, we just had the address.
Turnkey.
What's the time frame?
They should be starting work fairly soon.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I didn't get a firm, date, but I can.
I got blew by this morning in the school zone, and I was so happy I was going 17. And that car was getting it.
I'll speak with them tomorrow, and I can get a firm date for you. on when it goes.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to know that. Then I want to ask, has the Seminole Tribe of Florida Fire Department, were they reached out to in any mutual aid with regards to what we had out at Pioneer? What do you call that stuff?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Not that I know of.
If you could ask and find out if they were,
Sure.
and then I'd just love to know anytime. I don't know why, but I remember when I first got elected, that was it was a big bone of contention, and I don't know if you have much communication with them, but we need to utilize that as a resource, especially as it relates to South County down there.
They're not big on coming off the reservation to help. They are big on calling for us to go help them.
Yep.
I did get what, the county administrator as well, from their chief of police.
I would love to know what the communication is looking like there. And the reason why I ask that is because I just think that there's leadership opportunities for us to bridge that gap. And I know, as the crow flies, Brighton really is 30 minutes down the road. And I don't know if you're familiar with the resources that they have there or at Big Cypress, but it's second to none, so.
And we provided all the communication equipment for them as well, so I'm really familiar with both
Yeah.
of them at the tribe down south and at Brighton.
Yes, sir.
And we have a good communication going with the folks,
Yeah.
but it's the administration, and they don't seem to keep anybody in position for a very long time. I think they even have a new police chief now as well.
Yes, sir.
But I've been in touch with their emergency manager, and we get along really well.
Well, here's the point I'm driving home on that is, I think that the working relationship there is, it can be phenomenal. And I want to say, like at Big Cypress, don't quote me on this, but I want to say there's probably 4 trucks that are sitting in the hangar or the garage or whatever, they're in their facility. And I mean, it would probably take one to cover their entire reservation in BC. There's no reason for those assets to not be utilized, and I think it's a simple conversation.
Used to have an interlocal agreement with them.
We
for
did.
EMS
We
and
did.
fire.
And
Stationed down there for a long
Long
time,
time.
substation,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, so
We had a law enforcement agreement, they canceled that, so
Yeah.
I don't know why they're pulling away, but I can try to.
I have a number of theories on that, and I think that a lot of it ties back to what you were saying, where there's not been a lot of consistency in the people that are running said department. And so when you, in my opinion, and I shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm going to, when you come from a large Miami-Dade or a large Broward, or let's say you're retired from NYC, right? And now you've been put in this position, and you may actually, you may get crucified in the event, in the court of public opinion, God forbid, something were to go wrong on one of their reservations, and there was an asset that was deployed elsewhere. They just say, why worry about that? But I think that we can work through some of those issues. And I'll just tell you, I mean, in my opinion, the people are long since gone, but I know you heard the meeting, because I was hot. I mean, it was embarrassing for me as a newly elected commissioner whenever we couldn't have a mutual aid discussion, and the reason was stated to me in a meeting with Seminole Tribe representatives there was, when y'all show up at the scene, you don't want to follow our protocol, and you need to understand I'm in charge whenever we show up. And I was like, what are you talking about right now? Like, I wouldn't want to work with your tail anyway if you're talking to me like that here in this private meeting.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what it's like whenever, and I just remember that got so sideways, and we walked out of there, and they were like, Commissioner, do you see why we just kind of stick to ourselves? That's not happening now in any way, shape, or form. And I just don't know how long it's been since y'all had it, but you telling me we're having other conversations, but I just want to reignite that a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I can work on that, and
Yeah.
I can report back to you, what
all right,
the status
thank you. And then, last thing I'll say, Madam Chair, is, I know I don't brag on anybody very much, but, the job that our county administrator has done and Ms. Hunter have done with regards to, asking very direct questions to our mental health providers, or the umbrella that oversees that, has been just very impressive. She is diplomatically holding their feet to the fire. We've gotten some very erroneous numbers back that just kind of makes your head spin. We're all trying to stay very positive. I will say this: the leadership of Central Florida Behavioral Health Network has been pleasant. They've been very enjoyable from a bureaucratic standpoint to ask questions, acknowledge that there's been mistakes in the Excel spreadsheets or whatever have been pushed down for us to look at. We're still trying to crack that nut. I think that we've moved very far forward in the conversation, and it's frightening to think about. This is going on plus 2 months now, and I'm not going to say that we're not any further along. We are much more knowledgeable about where we are today with how many people we've served. I think that I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but we have a large gap that's going to be easy, I think, to see a lot of meat eaten off of the bone, but there's a lot of meat on that bone, and just keep bearing with us on that. But leadership is really engaging that, and it's been nice to see how meticulous Ms. Davis is in regards to assessing and then trying to follow up on, okay, guys, y'all see where the errors are, right? And as she says, they have acknowledged they got a lot of homework to do, and they're coming back to us. So stay tuned on that one.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shane, on Della Tobias, they stripping the road in between the main road and the side road. What are they doing? It's on Della Tobias, because when you cross over, it's like it's a big dip in the road. So they're stripping it, but I'd like to know what they're doing.
I'll have to go check it out. I don't know.
So it's not you?
I don't know. I'll have to go look. I'm not gonna.
Well, if you can check it, they
will.
stripping the edge of the road
Right.
and the road that meets in, but it's not
I'll look at
safe
it.
at all.
I'll look and let you know.
Okay, thank you so much. Other than that, brown sugar, everybody asks me about brown sugar. You always have bumps in the road when it comes to brown sugar. We're talking about people, but in general, it did go pretty good. There are some things that between Ryan and the sheriff's department we're working on. It's just things that they didn't know, and we just want to nip it in the bud. So we have talked about it to work on it together. But in general, it went pretty well. So I appreciate the sheriff's department, and we'll be able to talk about it some more. So other than that, if there's nothing else, thank you so much. Meeting's adjourned.